Hello, and welcome back to yet another retro channel after far too long a hiatus. It is really good to see you all again. I haven't had a lot of opportunity lately to get into the lab and work. Those of you who are long-term viewers of the channel, you probably already know what's going on, so I'm not going to get into that story again. But I do have a lot of projects, new projects, that I'd like to work on. Unfortunately, I've realized that I've left a few other projects incomplete. So it's time to get back to some of those and get them off my to-do list so that I can move on. Today, we're going to be taking a look again at the Apple II Plus. Now, this is the machine as we left it in the last video, save for a couple of small changes. As you'll notice here, I am using the Pico RC power supply. When I was preparing for this video, unfortunately, the original power supply crapped out on me again. We know it's not the capacitors because it's had a full recap. So something else is going on in that power supply, and I'm going to have to spend some time diagnosing it and hopefully getting it back up and running again. In the meantime, I've switched to using the Pico RC, which we used when we were diagnosing the problem with the power supply in the first place. This is a great modern solution for not just Apple's, but several other machines. You can get these. And they work off of a Pico ATX power supply and then have some electronics built onto a little PCB that you can put together yourself that provides you with the voltage rails you need to run whichever PC you're working with. So that's one change that you'll see to the setup that we've got right now. The second change is you'll see that I got a joystick. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'm talking to you, Shelby, from Tech Tangents. You don't need a card to attach a joystick to an Apple II Plus. 2 Plus, 2E, I believe, all have the internal, or well, all have a way to connect the joystick up. In the case of the 2 Plus, it's an internal dip socket, and you connect the joystick directly into the dip socket, and that lets you play some games with something other than the keyboard. So I picked one of those up and have it here now. Another slight difference from what we had before, we were working with the floppy EMU. However, at the time I had it hooked up as a single drive. What you see here is a small board that lets you hook it up and it will emulate 2 drives. So I'm now emulating 2 disk 2 drives. Apart from that, it is actually still working. I'll go ahead and boot it up here, and I have Choplifter and a disk image of Choplifter loaded onto the floppy EMU, so we should go directly into Choplifter. I do have to apologize, the RetroTink isn't 100% comfortable with the video signal coming out of the Apple II Plus. So if you see any dropouts or blue screens, attribute that to the RetroTink, not to the Apple itself. The Apple itself is working. So there you see, as I said, Choplifter. I can start a game. I'm no good at Choplifter, so I can never get it to turn around. And we'll go over and pick up some of our little guys. Whoop. Oh, I got away. Tank came to fire to try to kill me, so we'll go back and drop off the guys that we picked up. And there we go, Choplifter working. So the Apple II is working as it was when we left it. Now what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to take a look at some of the expansion cards that are available for this, were available for this machine at the time. There are several, and one of my viewers, Dev Rosic, who also helped me out with the keyboard. He had a keyboard like the one that I had that we had to rebuild and get working again. The keyboard is still fully functional. But he also provided me with, very generously, several expansion cards at a reasonable price, and we're going to take a look at some of those today. So, the first thing we'll do is, let me shut Shoplifter down here. Take a look at the cards we've got in the board right now. First, we have the Microsoft, some people call this a language card, but that's actually not accurate. In this case, the language card was a card for the, well, it was a card that allowed you to put put AppleSoft BASIC on machines that had Integer BASIC, and also gave it the RAM expansion. In this case, we've just got the RAM expansion here. So you have 16K of 4116 DRAMs, and what you do is you plug this little ribbon cable with a dip header into one of the RAM sockets on the board. This is bank 3, so this machine has 16, 32, 48K built into it. You take one of the chips out, move it to the Microsoft card, and then you use this ribbon cable to connect. And what that gets you is RAS and CAS, I believe, so that you can address the memory so that the card can do DRAM refresh. So this brings it up to a full 64K. And the other card we have in here is a Disk 2 controller. This would have been the card that you would use to connect to Apple Disk 2 drives. I do not have any physical Apple Disk 2 drives to connect, which is why I have the floppy EMU. So this is how you load software, and with the floppy EMU, we have an emulated disk drive, or 2 emulated disk drives in this case, connected up, and we can choose which disk images to load, and that's our first 2 cards. Now, when I bought this machine, it came with this card. This is a Whesper Systems Wizard BPO, which is a parallel printer card. I do have the cable that goes with it. I'm not going to put this in the system today because I have no way to test it. At the moment, I do not have a parallel printer in my possession. I've got one on the way, so when that comes, we'll take a look at this card. I'll add that onto the end of this video. So here's your parallel printer card. Next up in the cards that I got from Dev Rosic is this card. Now this one confused me. I was having a lot of trouble finding it online, finding any reference to it. It turns out what this card is a DAC card. This has a DAC on it and a couple of logic ICs and a few passives. And this was specific to a piece of software called the Software Automatic Mouth. It was a very early, but quite capable at the time, text-to-speech software. It did the speech in software, and then if you had one of these DAC cards, you could output the sound through this speaker. I have been able to find the manuals. I have been able to find the software. I obviously have the card. I don't know if everything's functional, but I haven't been able to get the software to work. So we're not going to be able to take a look at this today, but I will be hopefully coming back to this in the future and taking a look at it if I can get it working. And there wasn't much software or any, I don't know of any software necessarily that used it, any games that added speech by having the Software Automatic Mouth installed. But we'll take a look and see what's out there, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some more information on this at a later time. The next card we're going to take a look at, I was anxious to get my hands on. I don't really know why, but it's always nice to add better sound to your computer. This is a Mockingboard from Sweet Microsystems. Yeah, these came in a few configurations. They came with either one or two AY3 8913 sound generator chips. They also have two 6522 vias that allow it to communicate, and some of them also came with speech chips. This one did not. So what this does is add, for each AY chip you've got in here, it adds one channel of 3-voice sound. So in this case, I'd have two channels of 3-voice sounds for a total of 6 voices. You have a small pigtail that comes off of it. This isn't the original pigtail. I had to make this. Dev Rosic did not have the pigtail to supply, so I built this, and it does work. I have tested this. As I said, that was when when I was testing all of these cards was when the power supply died on me. So we'll go ahead and we've got make sure we have the Apple II shut down, and we will attach the pigtail. Now these typically went in slot 4, so 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll slot this in, and then our audio will connect to the RetroTink. This was originally designed to direct connect to speakers. It does have a little half or quarter watt amplifier integrated into it. I'm not sure exactly, but it works just fine connecting it to line level inputs. It works. So there, we're connected to the RetroTink. Now I need to change my disk image here. There are only a few games, only a few pieces of software, period, something like 30 or 40 that I know of that use the Mockingboard. So let's see if we can find one. Well, let's try a little Berzapt. This is a Berserk clone that has Mockingboard support. First, we have to configure it for the Mockingboard. Go to the configuration menu, set the joystick, set it to Mockingboard Sound 2, which is the version I've got, and enter. We should start hearing the background or the game music. Now, you'll notice that's coming exclusively over what I have hooked up as the right channel. I have no way of knowing on this on the pin header on here which one is right and which one is left, but the left channel will actually be game sound when we get there. So start the game, and I'm terrible at this. As you can see, I think I have the game sound too high. That one started with the robot on top of me, so hey. Or maybe it didn't. Anyway, game over. So there you heard the Mockingboard. As I said, the music was coming through the left channel, or the right channel as I have it hooked up, and the game sounds are coming to the left channel. So you heard, in the music you heard, I think, 3-voice music, and just one voice being used for the game sounds. So that's one of the period correct mods that we can do to the Apple II. Let's get another one. Something else I was eager to get my hands on was this. This is an original Videx 80 column card, the VideoTerm. This wasn't the first 80 column card that came out. That was the Super Terminal. However, this was a very common upgrade back in the day. This will provide the Apple II Plus with 80 column video, 80 column text video. It does that by using a 6845 CRTC, 2K of static RAM, and a bunch of other chips. And it can be used by itself, in which case you would have two video outputs that you'd have to either switch between or move your cable from one to the other when you switch into 80 column mode or back to 40 column mode. Or you could also get this. This is the VideoTerm soft switch. And what this does is it picks up a couple of signals off the motherboard. It picks up text mode signal and one of the annunciators that are on the joystick port and uses those to switch the video automatically when you go into 80 column mode. This has a dipped header on the back that you plug into this socket where there's a 9334, which I believe is a latch. I'm not entirely certain. Don't quote me on that. But, oh, other way. But what you do is you pop out this chip. You transfer this chip to the socket on the soft switch, and then you pop the soft switch into the socket that is opened up. By the way, if you want more detailed information on how the VideoTerm works, I suggest checking out at least Adrian Black's videos on the subject. He goes into quite a bit of detail on how these operate. But then we take this little pigtail and that connects to the auxiliary video. This pigtail connects to the VideoTerm itself. And this goes into slot 3, so it's not going to interfere with my Mockingboard. Of course, there's really no reason to have both at the same time, because there's nothing that I know of, no software that I know of that in 80 columns also produces sound with the Mockingboard. And then the final pigtail plugs into the soft switch and gives you your video output. So now we need to move our video from the RetroTink over to the soft switch, and we've got the VideoTerm hooked up, and we boot it, and we're going to see nothing out of the ordinary, which should be in 40 column video. I should go to get software. We'll go to VisiCalc. If I now boot to VisiCalc, it should ask me if I want 80 column mode. Automatically. Do you want to use 80 columns? Yes. Do I have the inverse character generator? The two ROMs at the top of the Videx board, one is the ROM with the code that the Videx runs, and the other sometimes is unpopulated. In this case, it is populated, and it is the inverse character generator, so yes. And there we go, 80 column spreadsheet. I don't know how to use VisiCalc, so. And also, if you want to simply use 80 column mode and control reset to get to a prompt, and I can type PR number 3. And that should put me in 80 column mode. And there we go. So 10, print. And there you go, 80 column text. So that was a very popular mod, was to add an 80 columns card. But Dev Rosic, being the wonderful gentleman that he is, provided me not only with the VideoTerm and the manual. By the way, he did give me the actual printed manual with it, so I can learn more about what to use it, how to use it, what to do with it. But he also provided me with the next iteration of the Videx card. This one is called the Videx UltraTerm. I don't know everything about this card yet, very little actually. I know how to make it work, and I know that it does have higher resolution or larger screen sizes than the VideoTerm does. It also integrates the soft switch functionality, so you don't have to have a separate soft switch. What you get on this connector is you get both a male and a female. You plug the male into the standard video output. I suppose you could modify this to connect it either here, or in the case of this revision of Apple II Plus, there's an auxiliary video pin here, but we can connect through the regular connector, the RCA, and then you connect your video device, your monitor, or in this case the RetroTink, to the other wire, and that's all it takes to get this up and running. So again, we should come up in 40 columns. PR number 3 should bring us to 80 column mode, and it does. But in this case, we actually have several other modes, and you can get to them with control keys. I just don't remember what they are. The modes for the UltraTerm, it has the 24 line by 80 column display. It has 24 lines by 96 columns, 32 lines by 128, and 24 lines by 132, and a 48 line by 80 column. Now, when I tested this before, I ran into some issues with overscan on those higher line number modes. Okay, so Escape 3 should give us the 160 column by 24 line mode. So there is 160 column mode. Escape 6 should give us the 80 column by 48 line mode. And now, no, the RetroTink is handling the overscan issues, so that's good. Escape 1 goes back to 80 by 24. We'll go back to VisiCalc, and this should boot up just the same as it did with the Videx VideoTerm, and ask me if I want 80 column mode. Yes. And I don't know if we have inverse or if we have lowercase. So let's try no for the inverse character generator. See what we get. We have a lowercase character generator. So I don't have the shift key mod done on this machine yet, and I'm not sure how to use that once I've got it, but it's just one connection from pin 24 of the keyboard to one of the ICs. I think it's this IC, pin 1. So it's a really easy mod to make, and I probably will make it at some point in the near future. Well, unfortunately, I think I am going to have to call it at this point. There are several more period-appropriate expansions that I still need to show, but unfortunately, as is the typical case with all this retro stuff, I'm waiting for some parts. So in the next video, we will take a look at the Whesper Systems Wizard BPO parallel printer interface. I do have the printer now to do that, but unfortunately it needs a new ribbon. We'll also take a look at a super serial card. I'm waiting on a null modem cable so that I can demonstrate that. We'll also take a look at a 128K RAM expansion card, and assuming I can get the software working, we will hopefully take a look at the software automated mount. So in the meantime, if you've enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Give it a like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you have anything to say about what I've demonstrated today. I know I'm very, very uninformed in the Apple II ecosystem, so a lot of you out there will have a lot more knowledge than I do, and I'd appreciate it if you would share with me in the comment section. I want to thank all my patrons who support the channel. You guys are a great help, and I appreciate you being there. If you'd like to become a patron, the link will be in the description below. Or if you'd like to simply become a channel member, you can click on the link down below the video here. So, all that being said, this video should be releasing just after Thanksgiving in the United States. So if you're in the United States, I hope you had a great holiday. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.